Okay, this is another one for you, Miss Weems. This is the bracelet one. God gave me deck 2 and deck 9 with these cards here. Let's just see. So yeah. On the top it says right here that Wade took me here sexually. So you or somebody else. Right? And somebody said get on up. If I met him gay, I'm not all the it said if I met him gay, you can still feel your God mission even though you met him gay. Right? Silly of me to think that I could fool you. So evidently he tried to fool you. So it says right here that he wanted you to validate him, your husband. But it says right here, he was not all there because he molested the children. And you was resistant. You was a sweetheart. He is going to sit down and gloat about it because we got to put your name here. Miss Weems was trying to get to the Milky Way. Follow me? Because if all could hear greed, they would have no nonsense lessons. Follow me? Maybe he chuckled about something. And something was laughable, but something needed to be done in decency because you was dealing with a serpent, the devil himself, your husband, who needed to take baby steps in his thinking. You was thinking things was starting to look good now with you and your relationship, I guess, or you in the business or whatever. But he is willing to do something because of, you know, you the victim. So usually the victim, the children are the victim. Children are the victims in here. The children are the victims. They usually go to victims. You are a victim, but they are a victim. They was given no other choice. They was willing they was willing because of fear and force the children. They was given no other choice. They was dealing with somebody from the top, and that would be your husband, the person who was the provider at the time. He blaming things on being adopted. That's why you're marched. If he wasn't adopted, he was raised by his parents and he didn't get the love he needed. You went in fast like a sailor, but God wanted you to have a wise mind when you went after him because he couldn't control himself in his own skin. He loved fashion, but at that time you couldn't control yourself in your own skin when you went after him. Okay, he wanted you to take down the walls for love and care more, whatever he wanted here, because he wanted you to achieve with his achievements. But you want the court system to take down the walls for love and care more and look at your achievements, that you're a loving child care provider. Okay, here it is. God saying that you exist for a bigger reason than what anybody think or you even think, Miss Weems. And on the other side, to say I'm ready to be guided. That's the praying to God. I'm bruised, but I'm still me inside. This would be you. You want to be calm in yourself and conquer this thing because you was dealing with a shark and he was a shark. Okay, here it is right here. Your husband didn't die, but the end of your relationship died. It means that you broke up or you divorced. And you free, God saying. And you got to heal your soul by coming forward. He got to heal his soul by coming forward. That's just right. God says it's going to be justice for sure. Against somebody who don't look like you. Don't have to be European, but just somebody who don't look your color. Follow me? Because the justice system didn't do you right, Miss Weems. They didn't do you right. Like I said, there's people who murdered people and they don't get no time. The lady murdered 4 mothers, drunk driver, and she got 4 years. What sense do that make? Here's God. Fill out some applications, Miss Fill out some applications, some paperwork, forms, or anything like that, Miss Weems. I don't care who you talk to, the Justice Department or whoever you talk to. The what they call it, the Innocence Project. Well, I don't know if the Innocence Project can help you because you did shoot your husband, let's say. It usually be where you didn't do something with them. But some kind of way, you got to fill out some paperwork. God going to lead you on what paperwork. I'm so sorry. Somebody decided to cut their grass right in the middle of your storyline, Miss Weems. I tell you, that's like the devil. I always call it the devil when things happen like that. But I'm going to finish this card and maybe I'll just pause you and come back later when I don't hear the noise. But let me just say this card. Bear with the noise for a little bit. We get some paperwork done some kind of way, whatever the paperwork is. Fill out some paperwork to go on your behalf and able to get your time shortened. And you're going to get happy. Get what God's saying because it's obvious that somebody knows something. And what they know is that you don't belong in there for 4 years. Because you're a sweetheart. They sit down and gloated about this thing. Your husband even know you don't belong in there. Because he couldn't control himself in his own skin. But also you couldn't at the time when you went after him. So I'm going to cut it and come back. Let me see. Hearing that noise, I'll be back, Miss Weems. Okay, sound a little quiet. Let me continue. Let's just see. Let's just follow the universe, you know all about it. So Miss Weems, universe, you know all about it. Because universe, God want Miss Weems to come out. Because it was justice for sure as far as Miss Weems going in and serving some time for shooting her husband. But God don't. It has to be cut down because it's not, God don't want you to be in there that long. And God wants justice for sure for you. Because God knows it's unjust that people killing people and not even getting any time. You didn't even kill anybody. So no, it's unfair, unjust. Let's just follow the universe, you know all about it. Miss Weems here. I don't know if that was there or not. Universe, you know all about it. Your first card, Miss Weems, is this. It says that if I met him gay. So if you met him gay, you can still do your God's mission. Silly of me to think that I could fool you. So if you met him gay, you can still do your God's mission. So your God's mission for you, I think your husband was a pastor. I'm just not sure, right? But if he wasn't, still some kind of way I feel you supposed to be. You was godly people. So if you could do your God's mission, and for you, you feel your God mission was working with children, right? So let's just flow. So it says right here that you're just going to express all needed in any area in your life. Well, God wants you to do that with the people from the top. That's the lawyers, judges, or anybody God wants you to write to reduce your time. Get what I'm saying? Because you was trying to get to the Milky Way. We got to put you here, Miss Weems. Okay, so we have right here, God wants you to fill out some kind of paperwork, applications, forms, whatever it is, so you can get happy. Because God wants you to do some writing as far as something, letters or whatever. The Justice Department or whoever it is God wants you to write to. God going to put it in your mind who to write to be able to get your time reduced. Get what I'm saying? Because at that time period, you looked at your husband as a liability to the children. He was no good to the children. He was harm to the children. Follow me? You was protecting the children. Follow me? But also the court system looked at you as a liability and put you in jail. Follow me? So it's obvious somebody knows something, right? So it's obvious back then that somebody knew something. Your husband knew something because he was molesting the children. But then once you found out, you knew something, so you went after him. Because he is a liability, remember? But also, as far as the court system, it's obvious somebody knows something. And what they know is you're not a liability. He is the liability, your husband. Unfortunately, something didn't smell right to you as far as the daycare center, how your husband was acting, or the children, or whatever back then. But unfortunately, something don't smell right as far as the court system trying to put you in for 4 years. And there's people out here that's murdering people that don't even get a day in jail. Because God said you exist for a bigger reason than what you even think yourself or what these people think. Right? The courts, the judge, the jury, who will put you in there, right? And here you are. I'm ready to be guided to my path. You ready to be guided to your path by God. Talking to God right there. Because they're going to sit down and gloat about this thing. Your husband, the jury, or whoever, all involved, right? But you as a sweetheart, get what it's saying. So we have right here, parents should not walk away. Will I ever know who born me? So between you or your husband some kind of way, you might wasn't raised by your parents, or you might was. Or if you was raised by your parents, they not being a part of your continued battle in jail, or your husband's continued battle in jail. If he have children, they not walking with him no more. I don't want to be bothered with him no more. Anything like that. Or he was adopted. Follow me? Anything like that. Or the children's parents, right? The children's parents, they feel like their parents walked away because their parents not near while there's stuff happening to them. Anything like that. It can go all kind of ways, this card. This usually called when people are adopted, though, or they're away from their parents. Will I ever know who born me? So, will you ever know who born you? If you don't have a good relationship with your mother, or will your children have a good relationship with you? Or somebody in jail that have mother problems, don't know their parents or anything like that. If it's not you or your husband, it's somebody in jail. Follow me? So we have right here, if all could pick greed, they would choose no nonsense thinking. Follow me? That simply means when somebody being greedy. So back then, some kind of way, your husband was like this because your husband molested 1 child, then he went to 2 children, then he went to how many children? That's what you call greed. He went over and over and over. But as far as the court system, the jail system, and all of that, they pick greed. And you got put in for over the amount of time you supposed to have been in there, because anybody that go to jail or be in jail, money is taxed to whoever that person is. So that's greed, right? With no nonsense thinking. Hear what God say, no nonsense thinking. It's nonsense. You shouldn't even been in there for 4 years. Get what God's saying? Depression don't last for so long. And you decided to choose you back then. You got depressed maybe about this thing, and you chose you. And in jail now, some kind of way, you got depressed some kind of way. Or you are depressed and God wants you to choose you over depression. That means get strong, be strong, stay strong. Something was laughable to somebody, maybe your husband when you approached him. Maybe, I don't know. Or somebody in jail. But your husband need to do things in decency. or you needed to do things in decency back then and just call a law on your husband, or anything going on in jail. Somebody needed to do something in decency back then with your husband. You wanted your husband to validate you, or your husband wanted you to validate him, or somebody in jail want you to validate, or you want somebody to validate, anything like that. So we have right here, your husband wanted you to take down the walls for love and cheat on his achievements, right? Or it's the other way around. You wanted him to, right? But I don't think, to care that all the achievements as far as you went to build the daycare, anything like that. Or over here in jail, somebody wants you to take down the walls and cheat on their achievements. And I feel like this would be you with the jury or anything as far as the court system. Take down the walls to care and cheat on your achievements, that you're a good daycare worker, you're an asset to the community, the children pretty much would be, it would be good for them to have you, great for them to have you. You know what I'm saying? It was horrifying what your husband did to the children. You was trying to distinguish it back then. And it's horrifying what happened to you, getting put in jail for 4 years. You was trying to distinguish it. Because it says right here, back then, your husband was saddled down at the fortress, at some place with children where the children couldn't get out. Get what I'm saying? It was a fortress to the children, wherever he had them. But right now, you are saddled down at the fortress. That would be jail. Get what I'm saying? It says right here, you was the law was going to get justice for sure toward you, right? Back then. And you was going to get justice for sure against your husband, somebody who didn't look like you, right? Don't have to be this, right? It could be a person that's mean, the person don't look like you. These are all examples. But also over here, God wants justice for you, Miss Weems, right? I mean, Miss Weems. I'm so sorry, Miss Weems. God wants justice for Miss Weems because God says it's unfair against somebody who don't look like you, whatever the races is of the court system or wherever you live at. You in Randallstown, so yeah. So it says right here that God wanted you to take baby steps in your thinking before you went to deal with a serpent, the devil himself, your husband at that time. But God wanted the jury, the judge, and everybody involved, the lawyers, the prosecutors, or who all that put you in jail. God wanted them to take baby steps in their thinking. Because at that time you was dealing with a serpent, the devil. All that decided to put you in. Get what I'm saying? Back then, maybe your husband chuckled about when you mentioned about what you felt he did to the children. Or maybe somebody chuckled as far as the jury, the judge, the prosecutor, or anybody. Out of one of them people, somebody chuckled. Follow me? You might have chuckled for a minute because you couldn't believe it. I don't know. Follow me? Or in jail some kind of way. Maybe somebody going to chuckle because maybe in jail, period, you dealing with somebody who was a serpent that you want justice for sure against. Somebody that's in that jail with you, right? So we have right here that there's going to be a divorce or just a separation happen because your husband didn't die. Follow me? So that's the end of your relationship with him. You free, God says. But you got to heal your soul by coming forward. And he need to heal his soul by coming forward. He need to heal his soul by running his mouth and talking and telling all of the truth, nothing but the truth. And you had to heal your soul by saying what all you had to say and tell the truth and how all this made you feel. Because you had no more time for lack back then. Right? You had to be responsible for yourself. Because you left the children in his hands, or y'all was partners or whatever, and you trusted this person. So it leaves you to leave it to where you had to be responsible for yourself. So if you do child care, anything like that, you got to be responsible for yourself. Or inside the jail, you had to be responsible for yourself, for no lack, for nobody mistreating you or taking from you, or dealing with the court system, the judge, or any of those people. There's no more time for lack. God says God don't want you to have no more lack. You got to start being responsible for you. And with that is, I feel God wants you to do this. You want to talk about your achievements and all. Write some kind of letters, applications, or whatever so you can get happy. Because God wants you out of there. God don't want you to be in there 4 years. Okay? You was resistant back then. Or your husband was resistant. Right? Maybe you ain't want to believe this at first. You know how we don't want to believe the worst thing. But your husband wasn't all there and you saw that he wasn't all there when you saw this was true. Let's say someone is not all there. In jail, somebody's not all there that you are around some kind of way. And you was resistant maybe to tell on a person or realize that or whatever. Or we dealing with the jury, the judge, the lawyers, or anybody like that was resistant. And one of them wasn't all there as far as their thinking. These are light green, I meant to say, so you probably can't see it. Okay? Back then, you was willing to do something because of fear and force. So you went after your husband. But this is the victim's card. The children are the victims. And you are a victim. So I got to go both ways. The children was willing to do something because of fear and force. Because they're dealing with an adult, your husband. So whatever he said, they did. Get what I'm saying? Fear and force. So it says right here, things starting to change. You thought things were starting to change some kind of way. I guess you didn't know all this stuff was happening maybe. So things were starting to change. Or things going to be starting to change for you right now in your life. Because God telling you write some letters, fill some applications or whatever to try to shorten your time. Follow me? Because you was dealing with a shark and your husband was the shark back then. But also as far as the prosecutor against you was the shark. Or anybody in the jury or anybody connected to your trial was a shark. Follow me? So we have right here, God said you have a builder path. God wants you to build people up. During that time when you had the daycare center, you had a builder path. You and your husband to build the children up. But God said you had to proceed with caution. So I feel you had to build a path and God said caution. Right? Or over here. You had to proceed with caution. But you still had to build a path in jail to build, to be positive. Because somebody got raped. So maybe rape took me here sexually. So maybe your husband was raped some kind of way in his life growing up or anything like that. And it took him there sexually for him to molest children. And maybe he told the children to get on up. Follow me? Or it could be in jail somebody trying to come your way. Trying to get closer to you. And they might try to attack you. Can I just say it that way? Anything like that. Hopefully they don't. It won't be, but I'm just saying. Right? So it says right here, you got to let yourselves be heard loud and clear back then to your husband back then as far as a situation. Or in your life in jail right now. You can let your sounds be heard loud and clear. That means speak up and talk for yourself. You had to become groomed to what God created you to be at birth back then in your life when you was running the daycare and right now in your life. And that means not being molded by anyone, Miss Weems. Nobody. Because molding happens when you come out of the womb, you all God, but then everybody start molding you. Your mother, your father, your sister, your doctor, your husband, your pastor, whoever. Everybody start putting a piece of what they want you to be like. That's molding. And next thing you know, you made up of everything they wanted you to be. But you got to get back to God. Talk to God and let God mold you. Let God guide you. We have right here that you got to live the best life by getting healed. Because God wants you to get healed from this situation that happened back then with your father. And the hurt and pain you feel because you trusted your husband with the children. So you felt like it was your fault. They hurt you to the core. But God wants you to be healed. Because you didn't actually do it. But you feel a certain kind of way because you left the children with him. So it make you feel a certain kind of way, but God wants you healed from that. And I'm sure the children will forgive you. And I really feel the parents will forgive you. If they knew anything about you and saw that you was a beautiful, nice woman, they wouldn't hold this against you. They would put the blame where it stands with your husband. Because God wants you to have a recovery for a brighter future. Because you deserve it. Back then, your husband couldn't control himself in his own skin when he was molesting these children. But back then, you couldn't control yourself in your own skin when you found out. So that's why you went after him. And maybe you like fashion back then, or your husband. Also, we dealing with in jail right now. Maybe somebody can't control themselves in their own skin. Somebody who you're around. Somebody who maybe giving you trouble, or just somebody around you or whatever. And whoever, maybe they like fashion or you like fashion. So we have right here some kind of way you or your husband has some kind of skin disorder, or somebody you're dealing with in jail, somebody around you. Right? And that just means moles, bumps, pimples, rash, whatever it is. Anything. Acne, eczema, wrinkles, whatever it is. Scars, whatever it is. Tattoos, something is on the skin. Your husband's or yours, or somebody in the jail that can't control himself in his own skin. Somebody, whoever it is. You had deep feelings back then. Inside about this thing when you found out about your husband dead, or something going on in jail you got deep feelings about, or deep feelings about them putting you in jail, anything like that. I'm bruised, but I'm still me inside. You felt like that back then. You had to be calm and conquer this thing. But also in jail, you feeling the same way too. Follow me? So we have right here, adoption can be a monster. Adoption can sometimes be a monster. So somebody blaming it on being a monster. That's why they was like they are. So I feel like your husband molesting children. If he wasn't adopted, he was raised by his parents. But he didn't get the deep down love. Right? And he may have got raped in his life some kind of way. Right? Created a monster in him. Follow me? So we have somebody... You took a shortcut back then in driving or walking to get to your husband, or your husband took a shortcut in driving and walking or anything like that, or your husband back then was taking a shortcut. The other meaning for this is when you touching. Your husband was touching. It's like this is a lady's card, so you touching on a lady to see if you can go all the way. But back then your husband was touching on these children to see if he can go all the way on as far as whatever he was doing. Okay, somebody in jail might try to touch on you to see if they can go all the way. Get my drift? So it says right here, back then, God wanted you to have a wise mind and don't go in fast like a sailor and go shoot your husband. But your husband needed to have a wise mind and don't go in fast and molest these children. But God also wanted the justice system to have a wise mind and don't go in fast and sentence you to 4 years like you murdered someone. But also in the jail, you got to have a wise mind or somebody connected to you and don't go in fast to do whatever it is God talking about right there, because back then you was devastated. And now in jail you devastated. And when you got locked up and you heard about this, you got devastated. So you wanted sensitiveness and softness from your husband, maybe when you went and said to him what you said, or you expected him to do this as far as the children. You wanted it out of the court system, follow me? Or somebody want this out of you in jail, or you want this. So let's flow for Miss, I'm trying to end it, Miss Weems. That's not the end though. Let's see, I need another one. Okay, universe, give me one for Miss Weems. I'm trying to end it, Miss Weems. I didn't know it was going to go this far. I'm hearing, baby, come to me. So we might hear somebody flirting with you, Miss Weems. Don't go to the person. I'm hearing, baby, come to me. That's a love song by Miss Anita Baker. Let's just flow. Unless you want, if you have children, you want one of your children to come visit you. Get what I'm saying? Because that's love. If you want your children to come visit you. Baby, come to me. You need them to visit you, communicate, or is somebody in there trying to flirt? Get what I'm saying? 7. Let's flow with 7. I see 7 in my mind, and I see a 7 and I'm hearing it in my mind. Okay, let's see. Did we have oh, I had 9 already. Let me say R2. These are the same numbers. Wait a minute, what's going on? Is this a 2? No, that's not a 2. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I did 2 already. Okay, let's just flow for me. Let me think. Oh, that's over here though. Here's 2. My mistake. Oh. Okay. Let's flow for Miss Weems universe. I'm trying to end this with you, Miss Weems. From the way you started again. Healing of the soul and abuse cards. Let's see the top one. Back then, you asked him, did you do it? Your husband. Follow me? Because he felt you was putting him on trial. Look at that card. Did you do it? No more trying to impress others, him or nobody else. You said, did you do it? You wanted to know. Follow me? He felt you was putting him on trial. Follow me? But it wound up being where you was put on trial and you feel like he got in there, whatever the lawyer, whoever it is, the judge or whoever, right? They coming down on you. So it says you rose to the occasion. Get what the card's saying? To beat him at his own game. You went after him. Get what it's saying? To put a stop to him doing that. You had to take back your power because you had to get away from the idiot. Get what it's saying? So right here, this is you right here. There's somebody towards you. But you went into your husband, but then somebody came to you as far as I think in jail. So let me just take it this way. Some kind of way somebody coming to you. So I can't take this with you and your, even though you went barging in where your husband was at, right? It goes both ways, though. Okay, you came barging into where your husband was with rage. And you saying, no, you ain't doing it. Or whatever you might have said to him. Follow me? Might have had, maybe your husband was around a sinful place with glass doors. Wherever he was at. Evident we dealing with money because we had a daycare business going on. Okay, you had no more time for lack. Because your husband was a dangerous love. He was your husband. But he had a lot going on. Because he was picking people, certain kind of people. Okay, let's go. No growth. I stopped because I remember I don't have anything on the stove. That made me stop. I thought I smelled something. No growth comes from the same sex. Okay, your choices are your own. Let's flow. So let's just see over here. God wanted you to put the brakes on back then, or your husband, right? Your husband on touching children, you on going over there to shoot your children, or anything as far as jail. Follow me, universe. Back then, you was wondering was your husband work worthy, or your husband you. Or your husband was wondering if the children was work worthy. That mean will they tell on him, or somebody as far as jail and you. Follow me? Want to know if you work worthy or will you do what they want you to do? Anything like that. But God said you was holding on to a corrupt pain and you had to let go of destruction or your husband or anything as far as jail. You like fashion or your husband. You like having fun or your husband or something in jail, right? Okay, you're seeing your worth and had ambition. But your husband wasn't seeing your worth or your ambition or somebody in jail. So it says right here that a man, whoever it is, your husband, I gotta say right here, was animalistic, controlling, fussing, or fighting as far as you or the kids or somebody in jail with you. You want to know that he really even care and what was inside the door of his mind or somebody in jail. So this is a funeral parlor card or a treatment card. Now, I don't know, either somebody died, and we can put it with you broke up because, you know, you separated, a divorce happening, or you broke up, or somebody actually died that you know. Because in the one I did before, I saw the Doc Holiday card, the kindred spirit means a man in the spirit. Father, brother, somebody died. So we can put this with that, I don't know. Let's just flow a little bit for you. I'm just trying to end it for you, Miss because the main message I heard already with God telling you to do some writings or letters, forms, or whatever to help get yourself out of there. Your time got to be shortened because God said it was unjust for you. It's unjust. And when God says something unjust, it's unjust. Don't think that the court system know everything, everything they do is right, because it's not right. Right? Anytime you got a lady that killed 4 mothers and she get ready to get out in 4 years, we already know something ain't right with that, right? You got people who kill people and they don't even go to jail. We know something wrong with that picture, right? That shows you that they not all the time right. Okay, picking people in the order of, that could be the jail system. Follow me? Or your husband was picking certain children, whatever was going on, boy, girl, or whatever he was doing. Follow me? The jail system, right? So it says right here that you was hand in hand with the enemy. Your husband was the enemy. You was wishing for a good decision, leaving the children with him. Right? Also in jail, you hand in hand with the enemy, wishing for a good decision. Somebody the enemy in there. Follow me? Whoever it is, right? So it says right here that you're around a sinful place with glass doors. Wherever your husband was, the daycare center was sinful if your husband was using the children inside of it, or if he is in some other place. Wherever place he did what he did, it was sinful. Follow me? Okay? And we dealing with jail is sinful. Follow me? Let's just go. So we have any deterrent that causes a dysfunction in the AM, right? You needed to get away from, right? In jail, anybody coming around you, or over here as far as the daycare center. So we have, he got a nerve. He was putting you on trial. Your husband, maybe because you were saying what you were saying to him, because you was putting him on trial, right? Asking him questions. But then we have the judge putting you on trial, or the prosecutor, and you feel like he got a nerve, right? Or somebody in jail, whoever it is, putting you on trial, and you feel like the person got a nerve. So we have right here that sparks, flames were sparked, and you captured the flames. So flames were sparked. You shot the gun and you captured the flames. So the flames for you would be that you got locked up. Okay? Or some fuss in the jail. Anything like that. Okay? The next one is a bunch of numbers. Can be part of anything from a license, door number, badge number, cell number, whatever this is, date, anything it could be. Form number. You didn't know the cause of your husband's anger, or at that time he didn't know the cause of yours until you told him. Or somebody in the jail. Follow me? Because it says that he didn't see your worth and your ambition. Or in the jail, somebody that, or the judge, the jury, or anybody else. So here we got right here, gradually a court date is going to be coming up, because back then a court date was going to be coming up for you because of what happened. But in the present, a court date is coming up because God says it, right? Because you got to begin. And God said, go ahead and fill out that paperwork. God telling you, whatever paperwork, right? Letters or whatever you got to write out to, whoever you got to write out to get your time shortened, because God wants you out of that place. I hear messy place. God wants you out of that messy place, right? Because you have to get away from the idiot, because you're around some idiot in that jail, whoever it is, right? And also back then your husband was the idiot, and God said you had to take your power back from him and somebody in that jail, whoever it is, right? Because God wants you to be that queen. Step into your queenship. You had to there when you went to protect the children, and inside that jail. You have a chance at love, God's saying. So you have that chance at love to love yourself. That's love. Or you got a chance at love with somebody in jail. Take it however it goes. Temporary, somebody abused their power with you, and that was your husband back then, because he molested the children or whatever he did, and somebody in this jail, right? Temporarily abused their power, unless it was a prosecutor, the judge, the jury, whoever, or somebody in jail, right? Because somebody was holding on to a corrupt pain, or your husband was back then, or you was holding on to one because you was mad what your husband did, or somebody inside this jail. But one of these people, or you need to let go of destruction, follow me? Because they was picking people in the order of back then to put in jail, follow me? Or somebody, yeah, let's just leave it there because it means the same. So we have right here, are you molded to a religion, a certain kind of religion, and being a certain kind of way? Are your leaders your God? Leaders of any kind. Police is leaders, judges, whoever, doctors, teachers, whoever is a leader. The mayor, the governor, whoever these people are they your God? Or is God your God? God's saying, right? Okay, so we have right here, somebody opinionized if you work worthy. So back then, you was opinionized maybe if your husband was work worthy as far as to be able to do the job, as far as you leaving the kids with him. So you left the children with him. You was opinionized first and you left him because you felt he could do the job. But he also was opinionized if the children was work worthy. Will they tell on him? Follow me? But we have in jail, if it's a job that you might be getting in there, somebody want to know if you're opinionized to find out can she do this job or whatever they want done. So we have right here, no, you saying no to something. Somebody gonna barge in with rage towards you and you saying like no. Right, so it could go with this right here. Opinionized, will you work worthy? Trying to want you to do something. I don't have to be work, want you to do, and you say, no, I don't think so, no. Person mad right here, whoever it is, coming, being mad about it. Or back then with your husband, you barged in because you was mad, and you were saying, no, I don't think so, no, that ain't happening no more. No, you ain't gonna do this to the children, or whatever you might have said to them. Fine. So universe, you know about it. Like Miss Weems. Okay, Miss Weems. It says no growth comes from the same sex. So with your husband back then, no growth comes from the same sex. His choices was his own. Messing with the children. I don't know, boys, girls, boys, all boys. I don't know who he was. I don't know which children it was, but God say no growth. Okay, in jail for you, no growth comes from the same sex. As your decision is your own. Because I feel like somebody is trying to make moves on you. That's what it's looking like. Whoever it is. Whoever it is, it's the same sex though. But God said your decisions is your own. Okay? God says don't settle for less with somebody cheating ways and money or love, and that would be your husband over here. But also in jail, you in jail, money or love, somebody's cheating ways, don't settle for. Or the court system putting you in jail for 4 years when you don't deserve to be in there. That's cheating ways. They wasn't loving you and caring about you to put you in for 4 years when you ain't deserve it. Get what it's saying? So it says right here that you needed to check yourself back then before you went over to your husband, and your husband needed to check himself before he did what he did to the children. And the jury, the prosecutor, and the judge needed to check themselves and do some soul searching before putting you behind bars for 4 years because you didn't deserve it. And anybody you dealing with in jail, somebody that's messing with you or coming after you or whatever they doing. So we have right here that no more lack. God says no more time for lack. Back then with your husband doing whatever he was doing, it was no more time for that. That was going to stop. You dealing with this court system and all of that stuff. God says it's time for no more lack. God don't want you to lose no more. It's time for this to cease and somebody in jail. Whoever this is. It says either you love style and you love fashion, or your husband did. However it flows, right? Okay, back then with your husband, he's animalistic, controlling, dominating, fighting or anything. Whatever he was doing as far as the kids, right? Your husband. Or he might have did that with you, I don't know. But I got to go with the kids. If it was you and him, you can put that in too. But as far as the prosecutor, I got to go with the prosecutor because the prosecutor comes against the person. Prosecutor, judge, those people there, the prosecutor, mainly people like that. They come against the person and they go against the person, you know, with attack, fuss. They don't fuss, but